What's one thing you wish you never saw? Serious. A few years ago, me and a friend were leaving a bar in downtown Toronto at like 2 AM. And some meth head tried to jump us. Being drunk and not knowing that meth makes you a FCKing psycho, we tried to take him on. He drove a 4-inch knife into my friend's gut and ran off. The sight of my friend's innards spilling out of his stomach and him trying to put them back in total shock is burned into my mind. He's fine. And he earned the nickname Spaghetti. While in the army, a friend committed suicide by slicing his own throat. I was sent to check on him and found him. He was still barely alive. He died in my arms. The looks on his face haunts me still. The look of regret and fear. I went to see my cousin a few days before he died of stage 4 esophageal cancer. I'll never forget the way he looked. It was like someone draped a skin-colored sheet over a skeleton. It's hard to remember all the amazing times when that's the last memory you have of someone. There was a video last year where some thugs were beating 2 teens to death with rocks and steel rods. And their mother was begging and sobbing for them to stop. The worst part? The public did absolutely nothing about it. Some of them were even filming them die. The police didn't do shit. Horrible. The city was Sialkot, Pakistan. My dad. After he hung himself. I found him down by the river in a spot he used to take me as a kid. Edit. I made a subreddit. Archiping with Deeth, admittedly a very rushed one, for anyone going through something like this. My wife. Dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. It made every reference to someone losing their mind at the sight of something in literature and fiction suddenly make sense. I literally felt like I was going insane. 4 years now. And I still feel that sense of awfulness anytime I think about it. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Finding my sister after she committed suicide when I was 8. I am so sorry. My uncle committed suicide last year and he did it outside a fire station so his family wouldn't find his body. Or have their home ruined with what he'd done. I came home to my dad on his knees right beside the stairs cradling one of our kittens about 30 seconds after he had accidentally stepped on it and broke its neck walking down the stairs. He was bawling and apologizing to it over and over. Then I sat with him and my mom in the bathroom while he cried so much more. He's the sweetest man I know. And I know how much it broke his heart. He hates himself a little for it. And that kills me. Colon. Open bracket. Edit. Just added a space. I came home late after a long 8 hours drive and there was a stray cat that lived under our house with a litter of kittens. The kittens were super friendly and super curious. When I was carrying my things into the house, I closed the car door with my foot really hard to make sure it closed properly, but it never made the sound that it actually did close. I turn around and see that I completely closed the door on one of the kitten's head and I watched its last moments as it seized all over the ground. Crying. And the mom came over and was sniffing at it till it died. I was so mortified and buried the kitten that night in our backyard. An old man died in my arms. Completely randomly while walking down the street. Though I am glad I was there to catch him when he fell. Thinking about his last breath still gives me chills. Edit. One of my first posts. Thanks for all of the upvotes and nice comments. Even though I wish I didn't see it. Don't get me wrong, I am very glad I was there. Colon. You know. I understand this was traumatizing for you. But I think you did a good thing. If I am alone when I die, I'd want nothing more than another human to share the last moment with. I was helping my dad with his computer last week and had to take it home to fix. I come across a picture folder labeled wow. So of course I click on it to see what's doing. Worst mistake ever. It was pictures of my 60-year-old mom spreading her snatch with her fingers like PRN stars do. That image will be forever burned into my brain, unfortunately. Edit. Whoa. I posted this at lunch today while serving jury duty. Didn't think it would blow up. I was just venting because it's not like I really want to tell anyone close to me about the pics of my mom trying rip her vagina open. There was a photographer in the early 1900s who would pose crime scene photos and then take pictures of them. I'm sure someone here knows his name. But I refuse to Google him for fear of running across the black and white photograph of a large naked man sitting in his bathroom with no head. I happened upon a book of his work in Barnes & Noble 15 or so years ago and was flipping through it, and that photo was huge. I can't get the sight of his severed exposed neck out of my mind. There was a video on Facebook of about 20 sweet little chicks sitting in a metal basin tub thing, chirping happily away. I was expecting a cute video. And then someone flicks a switch. And suddenly the delightful balls of yellow fluff, the chicks, are shredded down into a gloopy red pulp. You can hear them squealing, singing their final somber tunes. That was sad. Very sad. Obviously not as bad as what some people are going to say, but it was pretty horrific. Oh, that's actually pretty bad. Rotten. It was the 90s. The internet was new and wild. Discovering crazy new web pages was a daily routine at work, and lo and behold, one fateful day I stumbled upon Rotten.com. I saw pictures of things that still haunt me to this day. Do not want. On the plus side, taught me early on to be careful and think about it before I go ahead and click that next link. For example, I've never seen 2 Girls 1 Cup. And I never will. Edit. Rotten.com. And so you have taught me another valuable lesson today. Almost 2 decades after I looked away in horror. One I really should have thought about before I posted this comment. Do not mention Rotten.com unless you want your inbox filled with dozens of stories describing the gory pictures that you're trying to avoid. Thank you Reddit for reminding me to not only think twice before you click it, but also think twice before you comment. Also in the never seen 2 Girls 1 Cup and never will group. My father dying a week ago. I know I'm not the only one who's seen that happen, but Jesus Christ. I wish I hadn't. I have a hard time recalling any happy memories with him now because of it. That gif where that guy breaks a glass jar in his butthole. A long while ago, I was browsing our WTF's news section. Now, you know how sometimes you're browsing out of boredom, and you read something, but your mind doesn't really register it, and you just click anyway? That's what happened with me. Someone posted an image of 2 dudes double penetrating a rotting corpse in the middling stages of decomposition. Apparently, the mods also thought this was too much for our WTF because I'm pretty sure that shit got deleted. It is burned into my memory, and I saw the image for only maybe 3 seconds. It is the only thing on our WTF to ever make me nearly gag. And thinking about it even now makes my stomach churn. If I could, I'd go my entire life without ever having seen that image for even a moment. I just saw a video on Facebook of a woman in a red hoodie throwing puppies in a rushing river. She's very much enjoying herself. It made me sick to my stomach because the puppies seem fairly young and are whimpering. I was 11/12 years old. I was riding my bike. I watched a car run over a toddler that had run out in the road. I will never forget the pop when the wheels rolled over his head. Done with this thread now. Hearing choking noises coming from my mom's bedroom with no response from her. Kicked down the door to find her with her eyes rolled into the back of her head, choking on her vomit and purple. She stopped breathing. I tried CPR. Ruptured brain aneurysm. Fun stuff. When I was 17 I used to live in Sturgis. I got a job during the motorcycle rally. Had to clean shitty people left behind at the outdoor bar at 3 in the morning. One morning I heard a scream. Looked over the fence to see a woman being beaten and uphead by 2 guys. The police station was close by, so the police were there really fast. Wish I never saw it. The video of a guy getting his head chopped off by a chainsaw. I think it was by a Mexican cartel. I am forever desensitized because of that. And I wish I wasn't. A hip replacement operation. In person. An operation to fix a woman who has suffered from genitalia maltreatment. AKA her clitoris was removed and she was sewn back to let one small hole. I have no clue how to call that. I'm not speaking English as a first language. Help me please. Last but not least. A woman being told by a doctor that her lifelong partner just died. Naked pics and messages my wife sent to another man. It was only a couple weeks ago and I have been a wreck ever since. Hospitalized for shitting puking blood. Dehydration. Exhaustion. I have lost 25 pounds and still can barely eat. Can't sleep. My son is only thing I'll live for. Worst thing is that I have known her for 25 years. Never thought for a moment she had it in her to lie. Cheat. Inflict the pain like she did. Our life together was good. This came out of nowhere and is literally killing me slowly and painfully. Seeing the pics and the conversations she had with him, I can't get them out of my mind. I was on Facebook and saw someone like this video which had a cartel member cut off some lady's head with a machete. Facebook is just getting weird. Needles going through testicles. The Bud Dwyer suicide video. So much blood. Saw it live on TV when I was in first grade. We were all home on a snow day. When I was about 13 years old, my friends and I were hanging out at the plaza across from my building. We were sitting across a drug mart. A man walks by and says, "Hey, girls." He was walking by with his penis sticking out at us. The webpage called Offended on Encyclopedia Dramatica. It's bad. Don't go there. I did because of curiosity from someone else saying this and I wish I hadn't. I'm not very squeamish, but it's every picture that you don't want to look at. I shouldn't even spread word of its existence. I once saw a very sweet mentally disabled man completely covered in his own fesses, including some in his mouth and hair. Took me well over an hour to clean up and had me down in the dumps for the next couple of days. My first line of cocaine back in the 80s. Side but happy note: on February the 6th I will have 18 years clean and sober. A good friend of mine kissing with a girl I am in love with. This sucks because it is in present tense. Serious as a heart attack. A dead hooker's vagina outside of an economy inn. It looked like Predator's mouth. Only her vagina. My dad's dick. Seconded. Looking down after being hit by a truck and seeing the following. The middle of my left mandible. With 2 teeth. On the road. My right femur burst open like an overcooked bratwurst. Marrow smeared on the road. 3 other complex fractures. 1 protruding through my jeans. The motorcycle I had just installed $1,000 worth of custom seating and bags on in 3 pieces. The enormous vehicle of the drunk, wealthy woman who had hit me. And the look of denial on her face. Why the FCK do I come to these threads? So much FKDUPST. I feel bad for all these people regardless of how bad it was comparably. Thus video of 3 kids killing a man with a hammer. They hit him multiple times. He didn't die. So they poked his brain and eyes. The worst part. It was 100% real. And all the while, you could hear the man crying and choking on his own blood. A former boyfriend's journal. It was open. But I really regret reading any of it. A Serbian film. God. That's brutal. My ex and my best friend hooking up at a party. I don't think I've ever actually recovered. This was like 4 years ago. The internet. I would be a much happier person. It's caused me a lot of grief and anxiety in subtle ways that I hadn't even realized until I was knee deep. I've been using a computer for over half of my life. I can't imagine being more carefree without it. Edit. My neighbor dying. Catching my bro fapping, oh god, I was scarred for life. Watching how chicken McNuggets are made. RIP appetite. My dad's dead body. 2 girls 1 cup. Antichrist. I can never look at Willem Dafoe again. Just so many gratuitous penis shots. S and that scene where he gets his balls crushed and comes blood. That was a stunt penis. According to Lars von Trier, Defoe's penis was confusingly large, so they opted for a prosthetic. I was mowing over the summer, under the kids' swing set. Suddenly, I see a mist of blood and I don't know what in the grass. Stop the mower and realize I just committed baby bunny genocide. They stuck their little bunny heads up to see what all the noise was and wham. Worst part was my kids were watching me mow and wanted to know why I stopped and I had to explain what the shredded bits of fur and blood and brains were. TLDR. Bloody bunny backyard butchering. Reddit. Having spent some 20 years as a news photographer, I could give you a list. One night, I just had chili for dinner, and I got a call from the fire department on a traffic accident with fatalities. Got to the scene to discover that a lady driving a VW Bug had car problems and was stopped on the side of the road. Then a drunk came barreling over the hill and slammed into the Bug, causing a fire, one of those rare real-life cases where the car did burst into flames. When I got there, the Bug was burnt out and still smoking. But in the back seat was something I took at first to be a crumpled up blanket. It wasn't. It was the lady's 7-year-old kid, burned to a crisp. It's hard enough to get out of the back seat of a VW Bug in good condition, but the crash crumpled the frame, and the kid couldn't do anything except burn to death. Any picture you can relate to the term trypophobia. Ugh. I wish that wouldn't exist. Edit. If you don't know what it is, don't Google it. When I was 13 I got my brother's old cell phone as a hand-me-down. Everything had been deleted, but if you went to the wallpaper settings, you could see an album of every image that had ever been the phone's wallpaper. I found a picture of my brother's dick. Edit. Obligatory wow. My top comment, and it's about my brother's dick pic. Watched a motorcyclist get hit by a car and promptly had his head removed. Head landed in the backseat on the lap of an 8-year-old girl. Car stopped. Girl hopped out. Barfed everywhere. Head rolled up and stopped about 3 feet from me. A few minutes later motorcyclist's wife ran over screaming and picked up dude's head. As she turned around her entire back had been scraped off from where she slid 50 or so feet down the road after being thrown from the bike.